Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodhanandana Brajajana Randana Yasodhanandana Brajajana Randana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Mansa Paribhajagacharya Sakare Smagati Tam Saraswati Goswami Bhagavad Jaya Ananda Kori Vaishnava Jaya Ramacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Jaya Names of the whole Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakti Jaya Sri Radha Krishna Bhogavnath Sam Kanda Radha Kanda Giri Jaya Vrindavan Dham Ki Jaya Navadip Dham Ki Jaya Ganga Mai Ki Jaya Jamuna Mai Ki Jaya Dwarka Dham Ki Jaya Swami Bhaktivinoda Ki Jaya All glories to that. All glories to that. Thank you very much.
Welcome to FBS, the worldwide broker with over 16 million.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah, now that you have come, can we start?
Okay, please.
Okay, so you're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
So you can just start by reading. I've opened it on the screen.
Okay. Srimad First Canto, Chapter 9, text number 41. Okay. No.
I will get up.
Okay. Muni Gananer Pavaya Sakulenta Sadasi Yodhistira Rajasoya Esam Ahana Peda Exaniyo Mama Dresigo Chara Esa Aviratma. Translation. Word for word translation. Okay, just give me a translation. There's no need for word for word. Translation. At the Rajasuya Jagya sacrifice performed by Yudhishthira Maharaj. I'm coming. There was the greatest assembly of all the elite men of the world, the royal and land orders, and in that great assembly, Lord Sri Krishna was worshipped by one and all as the most exalted personality of Godhead. This happened during my presence, and I remembered the incident in order to keep my mind upon the Lord. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. After gaining victory in the Battle of Kurukshetra, Maharaj Yudhishthira, the emperor of the world, performed the Rajasuya sacrifice ceremony. The emperor in those days, upon his ascendance to the throne, would send a challenge horse all over the world to declare his supremacy. And any ruling prince or king was at liberty to accept the challenge and express his tacit willingness either to obey or to disobey the supremacy of the particular emperor. One who accepted the challenge had to fight with the emperor and establish his own supremacy by victory. the defeated king would have to sacrifice his life, making a place for another king or ruler. So Maharaj Yudhishthira also dispatched such challenging horses all over the world. And scroll up, please. And every ruling prince and king all over the world accepted Maharaj Yudhishthira's leadership as the emperor of the world. After this, all rulers of the world under the regime of Maharaj Yudhishthira were invited to participate in the great sacrificial ceremony of Rajasuya. Such performances required hundreds of millions of dollars. And it was not an easy job for a petty king. Such a sacrificial ceremony being too expensive and also difficult to perform under present circumstances is now impossible in this age of Kali. Nor can anyone secure the required expert priesthood to take charge of the ceremony. So after being invited, all the kings and great learned sages of the world assembled in the capital of Maharaj Yudhishthira. The learned society, including the great philosophers, religionists, physicians, scientists, and all great sages, was invited. That is to say, the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas were not topmost leading men in the society. That is to say, the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas were the topmost leading men in the society, and they were all invited to participate in the assembly. The Vaishyas and Shudras were unimportant elements in society, and they are not mentioned herein. Due to the change of social activities in the modern age, the importance of men has also changed in terms of occupational positions. So in that great assembly, Lord Sri Krishna was the cynosure of neighboring eyes. Everyone wanted to see Sri Krishna, everyone wanted to see Lord Krishna, and everyone wanted to pay his humble respect to the Lord. Bhishma Dev remembered all this and was glad that his worshipful Lord, the personality of Godhead, was present before him in his actual formal presence. So to meditate on the Supreme Lord is to meditate on the activities, form, pastimes, name, and fame of the Lord. That is easier than what is imagined as meditation on the impersonal feature of the Supreme. In the Bhagavad Gita 12.5, it is clearly stated that to meditate upon the impersonal feature of the Supreme is very difficult. It is practically no meditation or simply a waste of time, because very seldom is the desired result obtained. The devotees, however, meditate upon the Lord's factual form and transcendental activities. It is indicated also in this shloka that Lord Sri Krishna, while actually present before human society, especially in connection with the battle of Kurukshetra, was accepted as the greatest personality of the time, although he might not have been recognized as the supreme personality of Godhead. The propaganda that a very great man is worshipped as God after his death is misleading, because a man after his death cannot be made into God, nor can the personality of Godhead be a human being, even when he is personally present. Both ideas are misconceptions. The idea of anthropomorphism cannot be applicable in the case of Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaivanarottamam devim saraswati vyasam takto jayamudirayit nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nitai bhagavata sevaya bhagavati tamam shloke bhaktir bhavati nashtike tadara jastamo bhava kamalo badayaschaye chitai tayanavidam stita sattu prasidate Omagyanam timirandaksya gyananjana shalakaya chakshurmilitam yena tashmai shri gurave namaham Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadanti Swapadantikam E Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantarada Kantanamustute Tapta Kanchana Gorange Rade Vrindavaneshware Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapataro Vyaschakrapa Sindhu Vacha Patitana Pavani Bhyo Vaishnavi Bhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare.
Hare Krishna. Am I the one not online, or is Prabhuji's network that is not good?
Hare Krishna.
Okay, are you there? Okay.
So because I have no knowledge of my own, I want to, before starting, repeating what I have been hearing, I want to take mercy and permission from my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Srila Bhakti Tita Swami Maharaj, from my Seksha Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Srila Kavichandra Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Srila Bhakti Damodara Goswami Maharaj, and from all wonderful devotees here present, so that I be able to speak something for the glorification of the Lord and His pure devotees, for my purification and for the benefit of others. Hare Krishna. So this is a very important verse, and the devotees have been drinking this nectar, hearing about the passing away of Srila Bhishma Dev. And what we can see in this verse is that Lord Bhishma Dev, in his passing away, he was fully devoted to meditating on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1, Arjuna was referred to or addressed as Buddha Kesha, one who has conquered sleep and ignorance. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explained that the reason he was able to do that was because he was always meditating at the lotus feet of the Lord. So we are saying the pure devotees, they always absorb in thoughts of the Lord. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 8, chapter 10, text number 9, Lord Krishna mentioned in that verse that the devotees always engage in enlightening one another and conversing about him. So either a devotee is talking or a devotee is silent, but in his heart, the meditation on the activities, the name, the pastimes, and the forms of the Lord is always going on, which Prabhupada also emphasized in the purport, that we have to meditate on the form, the names, the qualities, and the pastimes of the Lord. As long as one have a brain, remembrance is something that will always happen. And we see to remember anything, some activities must have happened. In this material where we have people that we call celebrities, and these people are many times in our different homes. People speak about them, people remember them. What are they remembering about these people? They are remembering about their activities. So Srila Bhishma Deva, on his bed of arrow, about to leave the body, is meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord by remembering his transcendental activities. He's remembering the activities that took place at the Rajasuya sacrifice, which was arranged by Yudhishthira Maharaj. And the purpose, the proper made us to understand the way Rajasuya sacrifice is being arranged. This kind of sacrifice is not for insignificant kind of persons. It's a sacrifice which is arranged to first invite very exalted personalities, and it is also a sacrifice which is arranged after seeking the consent of all the ruling class of men in the world. So in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna called Arjuna Dhananjaya, and Srila Prabhupada explained the purport to that verse in chapter 1, that Dhananjaya is one who helps his brother in fetching wealth. For what? For the Rajasuya sacrifice. And the purport to this very verse we are discussing, the Prabhupada also mentioned that it is a custom, it's a tradition that a horse has to be let loose, and with a plate, read some words written on it, and the horse has to travel around the whole world. Any prince or any king who is against or is averse to what the king is declaring, they can pick up some challenge. So which means that democracy, which we claim to be doing now, is not actually democracy, because for someone to become a king by Vedic standard, it means that all other ruling king have to accept. Or in other words, for you to do, someone has written that background noise is too much. There's rainfall going on here. So even though all the windows and the doors are closed, so it's possible you may still be hearing little noise. So to perform this Rajasuya sacrifice, you have to get the consent of all the ruling classes of men, which means that you cannot do it except every single person accept. And this was done also by Lord Ramachandra. When Lord Ramachandra wanted to perform Rajasuya sacrifice, he did the same thing, but somehow or the other, the horse was put to hurt by his own children. By the end of the day, they sacrificed it. So Bhishma Deva is reflecting, is remembering these activities of Lord Krishna, because it was said after at the end of the day, the sacrifice was performed, and Lord Krishna was the chief person of honor in that sacrifice. Lord Krishna was worshipped. We also know, which we are very much conversant with, that before this very event, personality like Shishupal, when he heard that Lord Krishna was going to be the person to be worshipped, he was very disturbed. So in this material world, we have so many elements that are against service to God. Even sometimes, some of these elements might be very close to us. We may not be knowing, and sometimes we may also know. There are some elements that are not comfortable when devotional service is being performed. But at the same time, we saw that even personality like Shishupal, he was not comfortable that Lord Krishna was going to be worshipped, because he felt that there were great personalities, people older than Krishna, and so many things he considered. So he felt that Krishna should not be the person that should be worshipped. But then, one thing we could also understand, we could take as a lesson, Shishupal was against Lord Krishna being worshipped, but he had to lose his life. We all know the story behind Shishupal's life, Lord Krishna promising to forgive him for 99 times and to do something at the 100th time. But then the main thing is he tried to blaspheme the Lord, and he tried to prevent the worship of the Lord. So as devotees also, we are engaged in devotional service. Some element may be against us, but as long as we are not comfortable with these elements, Lord Krishna himself will take care of them. So coming back to what we are saying, we also saw that in Bhagavad Gita chapter 8, Arjuna put a beautiful question before Lord Krishna in text 1 and text 2 of chapter 8. Arjuna asked Lord Krishna very beautiful questions. There are 7 questions in number. In text 1, he asks 5 questions, and in text 2, he asks 2 questions. And the last question of this question was, how can one who engage in devotional service know God or know Krishna at the time of death? And Lord Krishna took text 3 and text 4 to answer all 6 questions, and took the remaining part of the chapter to answer one very important question: how to know God at the time of death. This is very, very important. And in answering this question, Lord Krishna said it from text 5, whatever state of mind the person is when quitting the body, that state he shall attain. And in the purpose, the purpose spoke about smaranam, and he said the word smaranam is very significant. He said this word smaranam is significant. We have to constantly remember Lord Krishna. And at the end, so within that purport, he emphasized on the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Lord Krishna, we just a few days ago, just day for yesterday, we just celebrated Janmashtami all over the world. Some devotees are still going to be celebrating on Sunday. And sometimes questions like, if Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, why does he have to take birth? If Krishna have to come to this material world to come and kill demon, then what's the need? He should just stay in the spiritual world and then stretch his finger and then kill the demons. But then the truth also is that one of the main reasons Krishna came is to create intimacy between himself and his devotees. Lord Krishna himself emphasized in 2 important verses in Bhagavad Gita that we should always think of him. We should become completely absorbed in him and worship him. This will be a qualification to attain him. For us to think of Krishna, for us to be 100% absorbed in thought of the Lord, then the Lord himself must have activities. And therefore, the Lord came down on earth to enunciate various activities. It is mentioned that as human beings, we are by nature women. Only God is a man. Our original identity is that we are women. And women have only 3 basic needs, no other thing. One is attention. Every woman needs attention. Second is affection. Every single woman needs affection. And third is protection. And Lord Krishna, as the man, is a master. So he came to earth to give us these 3 essentials: attention, affection, and protection. So he came, he enacted so many activities, so many pastimes, and in these pastimes, he is satisfying our needs. And because these pastimes, they touch our heart, so we are able to constantly meditate on these pastimes, just like Bhishma Deva is doing. Fortunate enough for him, he's even leaving the body in the presence of the Lord. He's leaving his body in the presence of so many wonderful devotees, yet he is still constantly thinking of the Lord. He's remembering the pastimes of the Lord. If the Lord hadn't performed some pastimes, then Bhishma Deva will not have something to remember. And we also today, if these pastimes are not enacted, then we will not have something that will help us face our minds, our senses in thought of the Lord. So Prabhupada mentioned that a devotee should always be a yogi.
I think it's a network. So please, we should just be patient with Prabhuji. Once he comes back, we join us.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, you're welcome, Prabhuji.
I'm sorry, perhaps the weather is very bad because I'm using a MiFi, so it's supposed to be better. So we are supposed to always think of the Lord, and for us to feast our minds in thinking of him, we had to perform all these wonderful pastimes. So Prabhupada mentioned that a devotee is called a yogi, and a yogi is not just a person who is rubber stamped or who does certain activities like going to the bush to meditate and do 1 or 2 things, therefore it's a yogi. So Prabhupada said, one who feeds his mind, who is always thinking of Krishna, is a yogi. And as we are thinking of Krishna, the remembrance will be there. Krishna said, like I was trying to mention before, he said, the thought of my devotees dwell in me. So Krishna is thinking of the devotees, and the devotees are also on wonderful transcendental activities, then we will not have what to think about him. Therefore, Krishna came here and enacted so many wonderful pastimes. We have heard some stories, and we have seen that personality like Jamil, he mentioned, he named one of his sons, Narayan. Even though he was engaged in so many activities, at the end of the day, he was able to call Narayan, and Lord Krishna liberated him, and he was sent to Haridwar. Then we were made to understand that another person took advantage of this, and he said, okay, I could live my life the way I like it. I could do anything that I like, but I'll just name all my children Vishnu's names. So he gave birth to battalion, many children, and he named them differently. Some of them, one was Krishna, Yashodanandan, different Krishna's names. He named these children, and he was not engaged in devotional activities. He was not interested in hearing the transcendental activities of the Lord. But then when he was going to quit the body, he remembered, he said, yes, I have many children. Now it's like I'm going to die, because he was sick and bedridden. So he started calling his children one after the other. Vishnu Das, yes, daddy. Krishna Das, yes, Daddy. Keshava Das, he called the old children and they all assembled. And when the children were all complete and there was no one to call again, then he looked at all the children, he glanced upon all of them and he said to them, now that you are all here, who is at the way house? And as he mentioned the way house, he quit his body. So which means that what is dormant in his heart is the way house. Krishna consciousness is not a cheating religion. So it's a proper emphasize in chapter 8 in the purport. He said, from the very beginning of life, one should take to Krishna consciousness. It's not something that one will have to wait. Maybe when I'm 50 years, just like it's a standard, maybe perhaps I will say Vedic standard or something. Okay, when I'm 50 years, I will give up every other thing, then I take to Krishna consciousness. It didn't have to wait. We don't have to wait for that because there is no assurance, there is no guarantee that one is going to live up to 50 years. So the moment you have, the short time that one have, one should utilize that short time in thinking of the Lord. So Bhishma Dev, he had so many experiences in his lifetime, so many experiences of which, if we are to have these experiences, we made the grandsire and he made a promise to protect the throne, and he vowed to see that the right person is installed and enthroned before he leave the body. And so many things were happening. His cousin brothers left the body before him. All people connected with him, to him, left their body while he was still alive. These things are enough to take his mind away from Krishna. But because he's a devotee who was resolute in purpose, as Krishna told the Pandavas, a devotee should be resolute in purpose. So he was resolute in purpose. Therefore, he was always thinking of the Lord. And it is mentioned that there are 6 symptoms of surrender. And one of the number, which is number 3, said, to always have it in mind that whatever happens, Lord Krishna will always protect me. So because Yudhishthira Maharaj knows that, Bhishma Deva knows that whatever is happening, whatever situation he may be in, whatever he's experiencing, Lord Krishna is always fully in control. So he had that complete surrender unto the Lord. Therefore, he was always thinking of the Lord. So coming to ground reality and application, Srila Prabhupada also advised in one of the verses in Bhagavad Gita, in the purport, he said that one should mold his life such a way that he will always have to remember the Lord. We should make sure that the things around us helps us to remember Lord Krishna. One should make his environment such a way that you are going to always remember the Lord. And association is one of the primary ingredients required for Krishna consciousness of a devotional service. So one should also be always in devotees association. And of course, even if for some reasons, one is not in devotee association at a particular time, but then you should be able to continue your devotional service because you have had a lot of association. And not only that, you have Bhagavad Gita, you have Bhagavatam, we have audio means of hearing, Siddhanta, and other things. So one can remain always floating in thoughts of the Lord. And of course, one cannot give up doing service. Service is not just physical. Sometimes we may do physical service. We can also do mental service. That's why we have Mana Seva. There must be some activities going on in the mind. So Lord Krishna, now is a very wonderful period of Jamastami, and we are in Chaturmasi. So it's a good time to reflect on the activities of the Lord. Lord Krishna, like I mentioned, that as living entities, we are actually all women, and our basic requirements are protection, attention, and affection. And as a way of giving protection to devotees, Lord Krishna came. He killed Agasura, Bakasura, Dinokasura, Vyumasura, Aristasura, and so many demons. He killed some and he liberated some as a way of giving protection to the Lord. All these activities are enacted not just because the Lord cannot kill the demons from the spiritual world, but because he had to come close to us, give us some affection by performing these transcendental activities, give us some attention by performing these wonderful activities so that our minds can always be fixed on him. In the purport to this very verse we are treating, the Prabhupada mentioned the names, the form, the pastimes, and the attributes of the Lord. And of course, Lord Krishna also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita that from him comes knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So a person may begin to think, okay, if from Krishna comes knowledge, from Krishna comes remembrance, and from Krishna comes forgetfulness, then I just relax my mind. So if Krishna wants me to remember him, then I remember him. If Krishna wants me to forget him, then I forget him. And if Krishna wants me to, whatever Krishna wants from me, then that is what will happen. But then as devotees, Krishna also promises us that whatever desire that we have, that desire will be fulfilled according to our level of input. So if we desire to remember Krishna, Krishna will help us to remember him. If we desire to forget Krishna, Krishna will help us to forget him. And of course, out of his benevolence, he performed all these wonderful pastimes, and personality like Bhishma Dev is meditating on these pastimes. He's not putting a moment aside. This is explained that Krishna consciousness or devotional service is eternal. Like in Bhagavad chapter 9 is mentioned, it is Shishukam, it's Katun, Abhyayam. It is joyfully performed and it is everlasting. So it's not that we perform devotional service for some time when the going is good. And when the going is not good, then we give up devotional service. Devotional service has to be performed all the time. Right now, we're in this material world, we are called devotees and we are happy. Or we are called Prabhus, we are happy. But when I'm called Bhakta, I am sad. But the truth is that the highest level of attainment that we are supposed to be pursuing is Bhaktaship. Right now, we are not actually Bhaktas, or per se, let me say myself, I'm not yet a Bhakta, because Bhakta means one who has devotion. So if a person is called Bhakta, you are already promoted to the level of devotion, you have devotion. But then right now, we are Bhaktas in apprentice. We are learning to come to the level of devotion. And all these wonderful activities which the Lord has performed will help us to become fully devoted in the Lord by thinking, by service, by different categories of activities. One can dovetail all that could be found around him in service and in thought of the Lord. Then one becomes a Bhakta. But somehow the others, the Prabhupada is so wonderful, devotees are so wonderful that we may not have come to the level of Bhaktas, but we are called Bhaktas. And sometimes because we may miss it, so one may become disturbed. Why am I called a Bhakta? Why not a Prabhu? I should be called a Prabhu or Master. Srila Prabhupada was giving one lecture in Los Angeles. I cannot remember the date precisely. And he mentioned that in this material world, the living entities are envious of God and they want to kill God. One of the things we see around us now is that people no longer consider themselves as sons and daughters or servants of God, but rather they are not seeing themselves as men of God. So I'm not a servant of God, I'm a man of God. This is what is going on now, especially in the Christian world. Here in Nigeria, we hear so much about this. People wanting to equate themselves with God because they cannot directly say, yes, I'm God, so they say I'm a man of God. But Sage Temple told us that we are not even servants of God, we are servants of the servant of the servant of God. So the devotee is to always maintain the mentality of servitorship. We should always be in the consciousness of serving the Lord. And in the purport to this verse, which the Prabhupada was speaking, he gave reference to chapter 12, Bhagavad Gita, text 5. He said to make advancement in devotional service or by meditation, by thinking, by concentrating in Brahma platform is very difficult for those who are in this body, for those who are emboldened. So the different ages have different traditions or different process of religion. But for this Kali Yuga, the only and most practical process of religion is the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So Prabhupada explained that now it is very difficult for people to sit down. Meditation means putting your mind only in one thing. But now it's very difficult for somebody to sit down for 1 hour, sit down for 2 hours, sit down for 3 hours, or travel to the jungle to do meditation. We saw, even before this age, great personalities who went to the forest to meditate. Somehow or the other, they had issues and they gave up the meditation. Yes, there was an age that is good for meditation, deity worship, and so on. But this Kali Yuga age, the most recommended, most authentic, most important process of religion is the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. This is be it the Bible, be it the Quran, be it the Torah, whatever scripture it may be, there is a complete emphasis on the calling of the names of God. In the Bible, there are so many verses that emphasize the calling of the names of God. In Psalms, the teachings of David, is mentioned that let everything that have breath call on the names of God. And he further said, they who call on the names of God, they shall be saved. And in the Quran, it's mentioned that the most beautiful names belongs to Almighty Allah, and that one should call on him by these names. And in the Buddhist teaching, it's mentioned that they who call the names of God, they shall inherit paradise. And of course, in our process, it is mentioned by Mahaprabhu that the only means of deliverance is the chanting of the holy name, chanting of the holy name, chanting of the holy name. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. So this is the only way. In chanting, there is so many other things are involved. As you are chanting, your chanting will go with service. As you are chanting, your chanting is meditation. As we are chanting, our chanting is also exercise. As you're chanting, you are doing breathing exercise. You're sometimes also doing physical exercise. All that we need to do to even keep fit can be achieved by chanting. And when one constantly, completely always chants the Maha Mantra, in this chanting also is always remembering the Lord. And therefore, it's also recommended that as we are chanting, one should chant aloud. And one should not give up service for chanting. I met a devotee who asked His Holiness Lakabichandra Swami Maharaj. I was in his lecture, and this devotee asked a question. Please, Maharaj, what is the meaning of the Maha Mantra? This Maha Mantra we are chanting, what does it mean? So Maharaj said, yes, by chanting Maha Mantra, you are begging for service. So we are made for service, we should beg for service, and we should do service. Then he said, okay, Maharaj, I am already doing so many services. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I am doing that, I'm doing so many things in mention, which are true because I know this person. So I don't think there's still need for me to chant because I'm already doing service. Maharaj said, no, you must chant. If you don't chant, you think you are doing service. It's just a matter of time. Your service will be contaminated. And if you are chanting, you're not doing service, it's a matter of time too. You will give up the chanting. So chanting and service must go together. It's not just that I am chanting, then I don't do service, or I am doing service, I don't chant again. The principle of religion for this age is the chanting, some service. So coming back to what we are saying conclusively, we are saying that Srila Bhishma Deva, actually in his entire lifetime, he was always thinking of Lord Krishna. Although he was fighting on the other umbrella, on the other canopy, but he was always thinking of Krishna. And when Lord Krishna came in front of him, when Lord Krishna pulled a chariot and stood in front of him, he was very, very happy and he just surrendered. Let me just die now. Krishna, kill me. Let me die now. Because although he was on the other canopy, but he was always thinking of Krishna. And when Lord Krishna came in front of him, he recognized him. And he was very happy to have Krishna in front of him. We saw some other personalities like even Duryodhana. Even when Lord Krishna came in front of him, he asked that Lord Krishna be arrested. There's a difference between a devotee and a karmi. Right now, we just celebrated Janmashtami, and in chapter 4, text 9, Lord Krishna said, they understand my transcendental appearance and activities. So many people do not understand the appearance of the Lord, and they don't understand the activities. But Krishna said they understand his appearance and his activities. When they leave this body, they will not have to take birth again. So personalities like Duryodhana, even though they know Krishna, they have seen him on many occasions, but they did not recognize him as the supreme personality of Godhead. So we should not become like sacrificial horses. There was once an ascetic man who was living in the forest. He had a horse, and this horse is trained with mantras. So there was a merchant who was traveling, and the merchant lost his way. So he came across this ascetic traveling, but somehow or the other, I lost my way. I am now very deep in the forest. I do not know how to get out of this forest. And the saint in the forest told him, don't worry, I have a sacrificial horse. This horse will take you out of the jungle, but you have to control this horse by mantras. If you want this horse to start on its slow tread, you have to say, thank God. The horse will start moving. And if you want the horse to increase its speed, you have to say, thank God, thank God. And if you want gear 4, gear 6, gear 8, then you multiply the number of thank God. and the horse will keep flying. And if you want the horse to come to a halt, you have to say, save me. So this merchant was so happy, so he took this horse and then he just shouted, thank God, and the horse started moving. Out of intense joy, happiness, she was just shouting, thank God, thank God, thank God, thank God. And the horse was just flying, the horse was jumping, and at the point they came to a cliff, very deep, shallow ground. And he saw that they were going to die. He didn't know what to do. And instead of him to say, save me, or to bring the horse to the hut, he continued to say, thank God, out of confusion.
We are sorry for temporary disconnection. I think Prabhu network is fluctuating, so we should just be patient for him to come back online. You're welcome back.
I will just conclude, and so that I will just conclude.
Yeah,
so as I was saying,
so you were talking about thank God, thank God.
So when he saw that, the next thing that will happen is that they will fall inside the ditch. So he then said, save me. And out of joy, after being saved, now the horse has come to a halt. Now out of joy, out of happiness, he suddenly shouted again, thank God, yes, thank God. Then the horse fell into the ditch. So what are we saying? The horse doesn't know what is ditch. The horse is only controlled by mantras. So it should not be that one read the Bhagavatam, one hear this transcendental teachings just for knowing them. Even in net of instruction, there's something called Niyama Agraha, to know scriptural rules and regulation, not just for the sake of knowing them, and not for the sake of making advancement in Krishna consciousness. It's dangerous. So we are fortunate. I am personally also unfortunate that I am partaking in these wonderful pastimes, this Smaranam of Srila Bhishma Dev. And I pray that Guru and Krishna bless all of us in our sincerity, that we are able to fix our minds in thinking of him throughout our lifetime. So also, as we are leaving the body, we're able to remember him, and then we're able to attain him at death. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. So I don't know if there's anyone who wants to ask Prabhu a question. Please just indicate by raising your hand so that we can unmute you. But me, I have one small kind of is it question or contribution? I don't know. But when I'm asking, maybe you will determine for me. What happened? You mentioned about sometimes devotees, we call they call somebody Bhakta, and we become angry because we all like to be called Prabhu or some names. So me, I will say that, yes, it's true. Even if it means that I'm not initiated the way they used to address it, Bhakta, you'll be angry. So I don't know, because even though the name Bhakta means devotee, but the way they address you, you will not appreciate the meaning of the name. You will be reading meaning to how you are being addressed. So can you throw more light on this for addressing those who are not initiated Bhakta, and they get angry because they want to be, respected, but what is the mode behind our address? So please.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Actually, a devotee is called Kavi. And Kavi means a poet. And what is a poet? A poet means one who can speak very sweetly. So devotees are supposed to be very sweet people. And even if a devotee calls you demon, because he measures it in a very sweet way, you will not be offended. But because sometimes we don't deal very lovingly, we don't deal very sweetly, or sometimes we have our own disturbances in our mind. So it affects our relationship and how we address people. So if devotees are expected to be very, very sweet people, and of course, you know that bhaktas are like last born in the family. And then they are many times always naive, ignorance, and things like that. And they are also very ecstatic. So out of too much enthusiasm and ecstasy, they may also make sometimes some mistakes, but then they should be treated very lovingly so that they can grow. So even though we have to call people bhakta, we should address them in a very loving way. Then they'll be happy. I remember those days, which I know you know, sometimes we even call some bhakta, soulless bhakta, guru-less soul. You know, these things are not encouraging at all. But it's like these things are also going down now. You know, so what you have said is very correct. But at the same time, we should know ultimately that bhakta means a devotee or one who has devotion. It's just like sometimes on the street where they had a Krishna or the devotee, sometimes people make mockery of us, even the holy name. Sometimes we are chanting on Harinam. Sometimes we are singing Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. Some people are saying Karego, Karego, Karego. You know, I say things like that. But whether they are chanting Karego, they are singing Haribo, but if you look at them very well, you see that there's some amount of ecstasy in them. So they may shout Haribo, Karego. So some people may become angry, but if they are not enthusiastic, they will not shout Karego or Haribo or something like that. But the main thing actually is that we should be very, very loving. And Nectar of Devotions, Larupa Goswami explained that there are 3 classes of devotee. For the one who is lower than you, you should protect, you should guide, you should give instruction. For the one that is equal to us, we should befriend. And for the one that is higher than us, we should receive instruction, we should serve them, and things like that. So bhaktas could be considered to be lower. So we should instruct them, we should guide them, we should show them some love and things like that. They will be happy. His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj said, a happy devotee will stay, an unhappy devotee will leave. So anytime any devotee leave the movement, it's a collective responsibility of all the ashram devotees. Because if the devotees are treating that devotee very nicely, even if the 10% is against that devotee, and 10 devotees are treating that devotee very nicely, that devotee will see reason to remain in the movement. But if all of us we are treating him soulless bhakta, guru-less bhakta, idiot, then the devotee will not see reason to remain because he will not see that he is being loved. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
You just mentioned another point that brings me about another question. You say it's only Radhanath Swami Maharaj, but then after this I will ask Sadhu Prabhu to ask because his son just went up. So I'm saying you mentioned about Radhanath Swami Maharaj, you were quoting Radhanath Maharaj that happy devotee will stay and the unhappy devotee will leave. But we see many times the unhappy devotee they stay also, and when anybody come around, they try to rob them with unhappiness so that the people don't come again. So how can we understand this statement?
Because I know that on your own personally, you are very deep. So I will not have to maybe begin to try to show myself in terms of scripture. So I will just take this very basic. It is said that in every classroom, every school situation, there must be some examiners. And the examiners, sometimes they set tough questions and some students fail. Sometimes the lecturers are so difficult that some students, they leave, because of the lecturer, they defer their admission. They just leave. But then the point is that we must have focus. We must know why we are here, why we are in Krishna consciousness, why we are in devotional service. And I will quote Radhanath Swami Maharaj again. One time he was giving a lecture, and that lecture he said that the devotee were asking him, if Krishna is all merciful, all kind, why not he just make everything calm and cool? So Radhanath Maharaj said, what do you call this place? They say Bombay. So he said, yes, bomb day. So you should expect bomb at any time. Then everybody laughed. Then they came back and said, if everything is calm and cool, how will you remember that you are in the material world? Everything should not be calm and cool. And psychology explained that the highest threat to every man is comfort zone. If everything around you is sweet, you will be relaxed. You just be lackadaisical. You will not put so much energy in what you are doing. But then coming back to what we are saying, so we have people sometimes who they are not happy themselves and they are not living. It's fortunate and unfortunate. It is fortunate because they remain. It is fortunate because they remain in the system. But it's unfortunate because one of the first characteristics of devotional service, as explained, Nectar of Devotion, is klesha agni. Devotional service, any person who partake in devotional service is supposed to be a happy person, because devotional service burns off or burns out, burns away all the pains, all the miseries in our heart. So if a devotee is staying, he is not happy, then it shows there is something wrong with his practice. At the same time, that way I can also see it, that devotee who is staying, who is not happy, and is spread down on happiness around, is a kind of test that must be passed. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, text number 5, it's mentioned that every single person is acting in this material world helplessly according to the mode which they acquire. It is also explained that there are 4 factors that determines how long we will stay in Krishna consciousness. One, the general name for these 4 factors is Sukriti. Sukriti. So we have Kama Mumukhi Sukriti, there is Jnana Mumukhi Sukriti, and there is Bhakti Mumukhi Sukriti. Then there's Agyanta Sukriti. So people who came with unknown pious credit, they may stay for a very short time, whether somebody make them happy or not, they may stay very short time and leave. Then those who come with Kama Mumukhi Sukriti, they may stay for some time, but they'll be looking for what they can gain in the temple. What they can gain, they may even be transacting business in the temple, because what brought them is Kama Mumukhi Sukriti. They have some Sukriti from maybe some perhaps they have done some good kamic, some pious activity, kamic activities that now they are here. So they have been looking for business avenue, one profit, one benefit for whatever they are doing. Then we have Jnana Mumukhi Sukriti, people who cultivated a lot of knowledge and somehow the knowledge brought them. So how you know this devotee, you see they're always reading any book they see, they want to read, like they are looking for something. They may also stay longer than those who came with Kama Mumukhi Sukriti. They will not have those who came with Bhakti Mumukhi Sukriti. So even if heaven is falling on them, everything may be very bad, but because they came to the system by Bhakti Mumukhi Sukriti, whatever happened, they remain, they don't leave. They may be very angry, they may not be angry, things may be very bad with them, but the Sukriti that brought them is so intense that they cannot leave. Anyway, that's the philosophical angle to see it, but in a simple language, whatever situation, whatever happened around us, a devotee should consider it as test. It is explained that there are 10 practical tips to mind management. And number 1 tip says, one should always see the hand and will of God in everything. So that senior devotee that is giving me problem in the temple, or maybe my co-devotee is disturbing me, if the hand of God is not there, then I will not even have to live with him in the same temple. It is explained that the group of people we live with at a particular time is because we have at least some karmic connection with them. So there's nothing we can do about it. So the best is we should just intensify our devotional service. With time, Krishna will arrange. That person who is disturbing us may be transferred somewhere else, or you yourself may be taken somewhere else. But on the whole, a devotee should never expect that everything should be calm and cool. Jesus Christ was to be killed, and Jesus Christ himself said that it is written that the Son of Man shall die on the cross, but woe unto him who be used. So we devotees also, Krishna said, I have not promised you a stress-free journey, but I have promised you a safe arrival. So in our process of devotional service, we may experience some stress. We may have some devotees around us who are creating problems, but they are some of the stepping stones we need to step on to make advancement in our Krishna consciousness. But how Krishna is going to deal with them, we should not worry. They will have their own quota. They will experience. The spoon used to serve somebody, that same spoon we used to serve you. So conclusively, and I will happy, I don't know them, but we know the system. Those devotees have this kind of consciousness. They may have to stop. they should do something about it for their own good, at the same time for creating balance in the environment, especially for the sake of protecting neophytes. Right now, I will tell you, frankly speaking, recently I was frequenting on a television station, and the lady, she told me, anytime you have any program in the temple, invite me, I want to come and see your program. As I'm talking to you now, I'm sorry, but I have not invited this lady to the temple. One day we were on Harinam, and she was in her vehicle passing, and she saw us on Harinam. She came down, she joined us on Harinam, she engaged me in talking, and she reminded me, please, I want to come to your temple. Anytime you are ready for me, let me know. I said, yes, madam. Somehow or the other, I have not brought her till today. We know, because our house is not very clean. So we are still trying to clean the environment first before we bring a particular kind of personalities around. His Grace, Yadhunath Prabhu, is doing some wonderful services, but he's also very careful how he brings people to the temple. So sometimes, even in Chopati, they have a system that they have to, first of all, mentor these people outside of the temple. That's why we have bass and voice. So in bass and voice, they train these devotees for a long time outside the temple. They have a rented apartment for them, maybe in school environment. They are training them. So when they see that they are now mature to come into Sadhu Sangha, to come and mingle with
What happened? The nectar is shortcuts. Network. Sadi Prabhu, please, we are coming to ask to unmute you. It's like the network has gone. The network has gone. We were drinking the nectar through the years before this network came. What is going on? Okay, it's like, okay. Abuja, are you there? Please unmute yourself. Are you there? Please unmute yourself.
Okay,
yes.
Krishna.
Yeah, we are going to find this network so that it cannot, they should not stop our discussion, you know.
Sorry for that. So Rajas Maharaj did one thing to solve the problem at that time. What did he do? He started organizing separate classes for Grihastas and separate classes for Brahmacharis. And when it's in the Brahmachari class, he will emphasize the role the Grihastas are playing. He will try to make the Brahmacharis feel that the Grihastas are very important. They are serving wonderfully. They are doing this. So he tried to instill that respect and value in them. And when it's in the Grihastas class, he tried to make them to understand. You see, these young boys, these young girls, these young boys, they are all graduates. Some are masters. They gave up every other thing to live in the temple to preach Krishna consciousness. So they are wonderful. So when as he was speaking like this, several occasions he's teaching them, they now grew to have love and respect for each other. And today, I know you know very well, one of the most respected temples all over the world is Chopati and Pune, because Maharaj took time to remove this illusion in their heads. So one of the things we need to do in our yatras right now is systematic training. We have to train people systematically. In Chopati, Pune, they have Bhaktas class, they have different kind of classes. But here, we just have one class or two classes a day, that is all. So everybody come together, mingle together, create offenses around, do things as we may like it, as it suits us. So we have to start systematic training. Also in Chopati, Pune, they have counseling system. Every devotee have a counselor. So if you have an issue, you approach your counselor. But here, we don't have counseling system. Personally, myself, even as I came to this place, like here in Benin, one of the first things I tried to do is counseling system, to create counselors and then start counseling. But nobody's interested. So it's an unfortunate situation, but pure devotees like yourself and others, keep praying for us, keep giving your ideas, and we hope that in a short time, something positive will happen. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. So the next question is Sadi Prabhu. Please ask your question, then later we can talk more.
Hare Krishna, Shri Yadhunath Prabhu. Thank you so much for the class.
Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Well, I have my question I think is kind of weird because as devotees, we are supposed to think in a certain way. But I understand in this material world, there are two types of people. There are the devotees, the devas, and then the demons, the asuras, suras and asuras. So we are trying to be devotees. That's why we are in this precious movement. So my question is it possible to have demons in this movement, in Hare Krishna movement? And if yes, then what do we do? What do we do to these demons who are in the garb of Vaishnavas? That's just my question. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Anyway,
I mean, I know as devotees, we're not supposed to be thinking, oh, this devotee is a demon. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna himself said, after many, many births and death, one who is in knowledge surrenders unto him. So I may want to say, standing on this verse, that everybody we find in Krishna conscious environment is a devotee. Krishna Prabhu also mentioned that one who chants the Maha Mantra is a devotee. Even if he chants just once, is a devotee. So with this, I could also say everybody around the temple is a devotee. But then we look at after the churning of the ocean, when the Elixir was to be distributed by Muhrini Murti, one of the demons, Rahu, he entered into the garb of the demigods and then joined the demigods. And the demigod did not recognize him, but Muhrini Murti recognized him and he killed him. So I don't want to say we have demons amongst us or not. What I will say is that if we have some demons amongst us, Krishna will take care of them. All that we also have to do is to concentrate on our devotional service. One disciple went to his spiritual master and he told him, Guru Dev, I need Krishna Prem right now. Give me Krishna Prem. I have been told that only a devotee, pure devotee, can give Krishna Prem. And then the Guru said, okay, I have an assignment for you. Go to the stream with a cup, get me water, and not even a single drop should fall out of this water. So this devotee went to the stream, got the water, he guided the water, not even a drop fell off. And the Guru asked him, how were you able to do this? He said, Guru Dev, you say I should guide the water, not a drop should fall off. So I protected this water even with my very life. And in so doing, as I was coming, I didn't look left, I didn't look right, I didn't look up, I didn't look down, I didn't see anything on the way. All my meditation, all my concentration was on this water. Then the Guru said, that time where all your concentration is on Krishna, then you get Krishna Prem. Another story, same incident also happened. A disciple also met his Guru and he was asking for Krishna Prem. And the Guru took him on Japa walk. And then when they got to a particular pond, he requested the disciple, go down, take some water and drink. So as the disciple went down to drink water from the stream, the Guru pressed him down inside the water. And he struggled and struggled and struggled. Eventually, the Guru released him. And the Guru asked him, when you were in the water, what were you thinking? He said, Guru Dev, I wasn't thinking of anything. I even forgot I have Guru. I didn't even remember you. I didn't remember anything. I was only thinking of air. And the Guru said, yes, that is how devotional service should be performed. You perform devotional such that you don't see anything, you don't think of anything other than Krishna. When the Pandavas were to be tested, Dronacharyas put a fish up and told them to aim. All the students, they should aim at the eye of the fish. And many of them came out, they took their turns and they came out. Some saw the branches, they saw the leaf, they saw the cloud. And the Guru said, don't shoot, step aside. But when Arjuna came, Arjuna said, I see nothing. I can see only the eye of the fish. And the Guru said, shoot. And he shot at the eye of the fish and he brought it down. So whether we have demons or not, let us just concentrate and leave the rest for Krishna. Krishna has been killing many demons. He just killed demons yesterday and he's killing demons every day. So if we have demons in our midst, Krishna will kill them. That's how much I can say, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Hare Krishna.
Jai Prabhuji.
I really appreciate your answer, but here, I once was having a media preaching and we were talking about ghosts, and the host and lots of the audience didn't believe in the existence of ghosts. So I was asking, do you believe in witchcraft? Well, most of us being Africans, we know witchcrafts exist. Somebody may be a witch. His physical body may be lying on the bed, but sadly, he is doing something in a different realm. So in the same way that beings in the subtle realm can also assume a gross form to come into our world. And so just as we have demons, like in the world of Kamsa, all his people are demons. But there was a devotee, Vibhishan, was Ram Bhakta. See, Bali Maharaj was a demon, but he was a Bhakta. And so the opposite could also be true, that somebody may be a devotee, but could also be a demon. And how do we know somebody is a demon? It's just by the way they act. It's just like who is a Brahmin, it's not like putting on a Brahmin thread. It's the way they act. And so Srila Prabhupada did not use the word demons, but Srila Prabhupada has said few times that there are weeds in our movement. That is, there are people in ISKCON movement that are sabotaging the movement. And Srila Prabhupada, of course, knows that Krishna is the killer of demons, but he said that we have to look for these weeds and then weed them out of our movement. You know, so I think as devotees, it is very, very dangerous for us to think, oh, this devotee is a demon, that devotee is a demon. But I think, and correct me, that's why I'm saying this, if as devotees, we know what is to be done, what is not to be done. If a devotee is doing something which is not to be done, regardless of his status, do we have any sense of approaching that person and then telling him or asking somebody else to tell him, hey, Prabhuji, I think what you did, what you said was not proper. Can you do it in another way? This is what I'm thinking that we could be doing. I don't know if I'm right in thinking that way. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, thank you very much. You are very correct. In every organization, the first and most important thing, before you can call it a functioning organization, is constitution or rules and regulation. In the open world, in the organizations like companies, they have what they call SOP, standard operational procedures. So in every temples, we should have rules and regulations for ashram devotees. There should be rules and regulations for even congregation devotees. So when anything happens, a devotee go against the rules, a devotee does a particular activity, You are referring to the number of the number that is connected to that particular act. Then the devotee just have to be the one to judge himself. Just like recently here in this temple, a devotee did something. I will just call him, call some few senior devotees, we sat him down, because here all the devotees living in the ashram, they are made to sign our temple rules and regulation. So we called this devotee, we sat him down, and then we requested him to read number 15. And he read number 15, and we said, Prabhu, according to number 15, what is supposed to happen to you now? He said, yes, it's clear. I have done so and so thing, I have to live outside. So Prabhu, please forgive us. We are not against you, but this is what the rules has to say, and compromise is dangerous in an organization. And he left. 2 days ago was Jamastami, and a devotee came to us here in Benin Temple. We want to do Jamastami with us. So I called him into the office, and I called some few senior devotees. Then we interrogated him. We heard that this devotee stole from a guru in this movement. Kavi Kanapura Prabhu may be aware of this. So this particular devotee stole from a guru, and now he's coming to do Jamastami with us. So we also open to him. We open up our rules and regulations for visitors. So people visiting the temple who are known with particular character cannot be accepted. We are sorry, though today is Jamastami, but we cannot allow you to stay. So he didn't stay, he left. But somebody earlier spoke with him, and he was angry, he was bragging, nobody can do anything, I can't do it. So when he came to the temple, we didn't shout at him, we didn't quarrel with him, we received him very nicely, offered Dandawa Pranam to him, we sat him down, then we brought out our rules and regulations and showed to him. So if you have to come here, go back to Lagos, go and reconcile yourself with the guru. Then when we hear from him, then you can come. So what you have said is very, very correct. Srila Prabhupada said, leaders, tax your brain. It's our responsibility to tax our brains, try to see what can be done for the best interest of the movement, in forwarding the movement and presenting the movement in a better way, and having peaceful practicing environments. Srila Prabhupada said, thieves and mad people should not be allowed in the temple. Prabhupada already said it is written. Our own is just to comply to it. So we should be able to, in By HG Chapter 1, Text 1, at the end of the purpose, Srila Prabhupada said, the original, the real meaning for Dhammachetri Kurukshètra is that the unwanted weeds, which are the sons of the Tarastras, has to be removed. And the all religious sons of the of King Pandu, headed by Bhishmadev, has to be headed by Yudhishthira Maharaj, has to be installed. So management have the responsibility to try to see that things are going nicely. So normal temple devotee may not call a devotee demon. It may not say a devotee and say, oh, this devotee is a demon, this one is this. But management will judge people by their character, by their activities, and decide whether they are qualified to stay or not. So one of the things I see is that one of the threats to any organization is compromise, which we are doing a lot sometimes. Because this devotee will join together at the same time, even though he's misbehaving, we cannot kick him out, or we cannot suspend him, or something like that. No, we should not compromise. We should do things the way it is. I remember one time I was talking with Kavichandra, His Holiness Kavichandra Maharaj, and then he told me, he mentioned a particular devotee's name, and he said, he has been doing so and so and so to all of you, you are looking at him. Is that how it should be? Do you think if Srila Krishna Pad is here now, this is what he will do? So I became very, very affected, because what he said is very correct. We should do the right thing. So Prabhuji, thank you for your contribution. What you said is very, very correct. And then you are like reminding us of our responsibility, and we will try to continue to do what is good for the system. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. May Guru and Krishna bless you so much. Hare Krishna.
Jai Prabhu, and you too.
So thank you very much, Prabhu. So we have the last hand up, His Grace, that is Bhakta George. But before Bhakta George, I'll meet Bhakta George. I would like to say something before I will forget, because I'm already forgetting. So, so you mentioned about setting up a counseling system in your temple, which is very laudable, is a laudable idea. And try to emulate his Radhanath Swami Maharaj, which is a very wonderful idea actually, because Radhanath Swami Maharaj is a role model that the ISKCON world should emulate. But most devotees, most ISKCON world they are following, but you know, as human being, we always have this jealous mentality. Oh, must it be only one? I saw some people they may not be following strictly because they are thinking in their mind, must it be the only one? No. But if somebody has in the academic world or in the mundane world, if somebody has achieved success in a particular field, people tend to take them as a guru, as somebody to emulate. And we can see that His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, he has achieved success in a way of cultivating people on how to show love to each other in his own, in his temple. You know, in how to groom people, how to build them, how to train them, and you know, in giving them support system and all the rest. He has become successful in that field, and he should be you know, recognized for that. And devotees should emulate and try to follow. I really appreciate that you say that. But one thing I would like to say is that when you were saying and you say that it's not very easy for them to follow, and they're not, you know, it's not easy for them to set up that counseling system. So in my mind, I was saying, and I was thinking, I said that it will be very difficult to teach a old dog new tricks, you know. so I will suggest, because I know that you have a good, you know, good mind and you know, enthusiastic to do something new. I will suggest, like in the Americas, what devotees are doing, we should emulate also in this part of the world. Like I know some devotees, some Maharajas, they have what we call Krishna Lounge. You know, you have a separate building, separate from the temple. That is where you invite new people to come. Maybe it may be, you know, like just like how Prabhupada started the movement at the 24 Avenue, whatever, where you invite people to come and you train them gradually. So we should have a separate place, completely different from our old setting of temple, where we can invite the general public for a lecture, maybe on a Tuesday, or maybe on every Tuesday and Thursday, or every Tuesday and Friday. We invite general public for a lecture. We advertise the topics, even if it is only 3 people who come in the beginning or 5 people. We give a nice presentation. We give them prasadam at the end, and we start building relationship with them as if that is our temple. We may call it Krishna Launch, like the Western devotees are calling it, or we may call it our own name, maybe Goranga Launch or whatever. But it should be a place where you train the kind of people you want to see in your center. And as time goes on, when we keep on training those such personality and their number is increasing, I can bet you time will come, those people will flush those people who don't want to follow your setting. You know? So I just say, let me say this before I forget. Because Prabhu, there's no how you can teach a old drug new tricks, so a lie. You no go follow. So we have to find new ways of bringing the new people to outflow the old people. Instead that they follow the new, once you cultivate your own new devotees and you train them the way you want them to be behaving, and they imbibe your spirits, instead that those old people follow them. When you start bringing them into your system, instead that the old people follow them, or they just drop aside and completely go outside. So that is the only way, that is the only way forward for us. In any center, I'm telling you, you cannot bring new people and want to train them in the old system. It will fail. We have to create a separate arrangement for those new people, and we're gradually training them. And while we are training them, we should not make them to have contact with those old ones. So that is my own suggestion. So let me unmute His Grace Bhakta George. I want to say something before I unmute him, so that.
Yeah, I have to appreciate it. Thank you very much. It's a very wonderful suggestion. We'll work on it, and I will carry you along.
I just want to be a speculator and just advise, don't mind me.
You once told me that devotees don't speculate.
No, because it's not easy. It's like I'm saying, it's very easy to say, but to really act it is not very easy. So I know what it is. So that's why I'm saying that I like to be a speculator, so that those who want to carry it out, they will be doing the work. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Anyway, again, thank you. We tried.
Yes,
it was doing.
So, Bhaktajoy, please unmute yourself. Let's hear your question, please.
Pardon me, I'm in public place. There have been noise. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah, we are hearing you. Please continue. We are hearing you before the noise at the background will start disturbing you.
Very much for a wonderful lesson. So, my question is, I'm basing my question on the demons again. We know that some ages the demons have been living in their own abode. And in the age of Kali, these very demons are living in our own hearts in a form of greed, anger, and what have you. And these things have to be uprooted by chanting the holy name. And for so long, we've been chanting the holy name, but yet these demons are still there. And we just had a Jamastam just 3 days ago. So practically, what else can we do? Is it that we are inappropriately chanting the holy? Personally, me, is it that we are improperly chanting the holy name, or something else we have to do practically? So this is my question. Hare
Krishna, thank you very much. In organization and planning, we could say so many things. We have to organize like this. We have to put this system in place. We have to do this. We have to do that. We have to set rules and regulation. We have to select the shaft from the grains or the grains from the shaft. All these are organizational work. But then the most important thing is the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Srila Prabhupada said that in this movement, there are 2 rigid principles, chanting and hearing. A devotee who chants nicely and hear properly, it will show in his life. It is mentioned that if a person chants Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, even if your heart is as hard as iron or as hard as stone, it will melt. So if I am a demon or if I'm still misbehaving and I am chanting, you are able to see me chanting. The truth is that I am not chanting, I'm doing something else. Because it's mentioned that greater part of our advancement in Krishna consciousness depend on our chanting. So if a person is chanting 64 rounds and is not advancing, it's obvious that he's not chanting. He's doing something else. I don't know what he's doing, but he's doing something else. I once listened to a lecture by Srila Tamalkrishna Goswami Maharaj. In that lecture, he was challenging Sathya Sai Baba disciple. So he asked that disciple, for how long have you been a disciple of Baba? He said, has been a disciple for 8 years. So this Guru Maharaj, this Maharaj said, now I will tell you something to do for 8 months. You will chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra for 8 months. If you do not get immense benefit, more than you could get in the 8 years of following Baba, then come to me, I will give you $100,000. First thing I saw in that statement is that this Tamalkrishna Goswami Maharaj had serious faith on the holy name. And of course, Mahaprabhu said, the Lord has invested all his transcendental energies in the holy name. This holy name can do anything. So if I am chanting, I am in the movement, and my life is not changing, then it's very simple to understand. I am not actually following. Some of us may carry chant. I will tell you frankly, I have seen a devotee who carried chanting bead, chanting in the midst of other devotees, but he was actually chanting different mantras. He was chanting Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, which I have read also in mystic books. If you chant Hari Om 100 times, you become happy. Yes, I read it 108 times, you become happy. No, but then our system made us to understand. Even Lord Shiva told Parvati and all other his disciples, he said, Rama Ramiti Ramiti, Mano 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 Ramisa Hashonama Satobiam, Rama Nama Baranami. All the names of God you may be chanting, the highest of them all is Krishna. And he gave evidence. He said, if you chant Vishnu 1,000 times, is equals to 1 Rama, which also means that all other names are lower than Vishnu. So if you chant Vishnu 1,000 times, it gives you 1 Rama. And if you chant Rama 3 times, it gives you 1 Krishna. So we can see how potent, how powerful this Krishna Mahamantra chanting is. So if I am misbehaving and I think I am chanting and my character is not changing, or we see some devotees, their characters are not changing, it's obvious that they are not taking the holy name very seriously. If a devotee hears attentively on daily basis and he chants concentratively on daily basis, even if it's 8 rounds he's chanting on daily basis, but with quality, it will show a significant difference in his life. But if we are doing what we usually call show bottle or notice me devotional service, we may not get much benefit. So Mahamantra is still the same, it has not changed. Bhagavad Gita is still the same. Arjuna heard Bhagavad Gita in the battlefield and he was transformed. It is said that what is expected of us after hearing Gita is transformation. And Lord Krishna tested Arjuna. When Lord Krishna finished speaking to Arjuna, he asked him, has your illusion been gone? Has the illusion been dispelled? And Arjuna answered, I said, yes. And Krishna said, now you may do as you like. Immediately Arjuna stood up, picked up his bow and arrow, and ordered Lord Krishna, blow the conch, I'm ready. So he has been transformed by hearing. He heard the Bhagavad Gita, some people say 45 minutes, some people say 2 hours, but he heard the Bhagavad Gita in 1 day, and he was transformed. And in first chapter, first verse of Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada taught us how to study the Gita. We should hear the Gita from a devotee, and it should be without personally motivated interpretation. Then it will take effect. And he said, when one study in this way, it will the study of Bhagavad Gita will surpass the study of all other Vedic literatures. So we have to hear very attentively. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 4, Krishna also said, you should pose confidential questions, you should be submissive, you should do some service. So there's a process of receiving knowledge. So when we receive knowledge by hearing, then we chant very nicely without offense. There are 3 stages of chanting: Nama Bas, Nama Parad, Nama Bas, and Shrudanam. We must start with Nama Parad. It's almost like a must. In the beginning, we may be committing all kinds of offenses. But at a point, we come to Nama Bas, we are now becoming more conscious. Then from being conscious over time, then we can now come to Sudanam. So there are some things His Holiness Bhakti-Vedanta Maharaj used to say. Sometimes devotees get angry. He said, some of us are not chanting the holy name, we are chanting alphabet. Therefore, we're not getting results. So let me not bore you, let me not speak too much. The simple answer is, Mahamantra has not changed, the potency has not changed. But what determines how much benefit we get from Mahamantra is how well we are chanting the Mahamantra. And some people too are in the temple as a hiding place, or they want to avoid some amount of responsibility. Make I just get somewhere where they stay. According to Nigeria way of speaking, they just want to stay somewhere. So this kind of people, you will see that over time they're not changing because they're not here for devotional service. Just like Professor Sahadev Prabhu was trying to explain, you know. So this kind of people, when you look at the activities, they may be acting like demons because they didn't come for Krishna, they just come for some shelter, you know. But at the same time, it is the duty of the managers to engage them in devotional service. Once they are properly engaged, with time, their consciousness will shift. Although Kavikana Prabhu mentioned the very old ones who have been there for years. For those ones, it may be very difficult to help them. It is mentioned that the most dangerous people around spiritual environment, they are called Brahma Rakshashas. And who is a Brahma Rakshasha? A Brahma Rakshasha is a demon or a witch or a wizard who is also chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra with you. He does other things. So they are very difficult to deal with. So the only way we can outpass them is to put in some extra endeavor and be more attentive in all aspects of our devotional service. Hare Krishna Prabhu. So Mahamantra is still potent. So there's no problem with the Mahamantra, but we have to watch how we chant it. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. We really enjoy your lecture. You know, it's like the lecture should never stop. We are never tired of hearing. Like the sages of Namisaranga said to the Sutta Goswami.
Serious.
You know, we want like the lecture should not cease. It should continue flowing from your nectarian mouth.
Serious.
So thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thanks for the mercy.
So there's no any other questions. So I think devotees are really happy with the way you have spoken and answered the questions. So in the absence of no question, we can end it here. So thank you very much for your time, Prabhu. So we ask all devotees to please try to unmute yourself and let us chant one powerful Hare Krishna mantra to appreciate His great Yadhunath Prabhu. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare.
So one assignment for all of us, please, when you are coming tomorrow or next, you should bring somebody with you to sign in with you. We should take the responsibility of bringing somebody to sign with us so that our number will continue to increase, not decrease. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Mother Sunabhakti, you are there. Please, tomorrow you should encourage one devotee to sign in with you. That is the service given to you. Mother Gayatri, you should bring somebody with you tomorrow. Convince one devotee to join you to come and listen to lecture.
Thank you.
All glories. Hare Krishna, all glories. Jai. Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai Prabhupada.
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Hare, Hare Rama.
Good now.